take a moment to just know that God is so good, that God is that magnificent electrician who is just plugging us all in, and that as we connect with this divine entity, that we become so well lit in love. And I know that as we become so well lit in love, everything becomes illuminated. There's no more reason for confusion or separation or for lack or for limitation. We see the abundance and the clarity and the divine aspects of God within ourselves, unfolding from ourselves. I know that today, as we sit in this circle, we allow ourselves to imagine how we can be even more well lit in all areas of our lives, how we can loosen up and lighten up and live it up a little bit more in this very precious time that we have as we're on this big blue marble together. I give thanks for all the ways that our blessings unfold from us and cause us stir a divine impact of love in the world. So for this and so much more, I give thanks, and I release these words into the powerful energy of God's love that says yes. And together we say, and so it is. Amen. Yeah, there's some ways that we can loosen up and lighten up and be in light. And, you know, as a community, we're moving towards more light. You know, we're in February. There's going to be more light in our days. This is the good news. If you were one of those people that were like, I'm losing weight this year, like Will, who lost 5 pounds. Lightening up is another way of doing it. And my dad used to say, like, take it easy, you know, like, don't take things too seriously. My dad, towards the end of his life, he would work with a community that delivered food to people who were homebound, and he was also a crossing guard. And I remember like seeing him out there as a crossing guard, you know, and he would say to the kids like, take it easy, you know, and he said that to the adults too, take it easy, and those are holy words, like, take it easy, man. It's not that serious. My dad had a near-death experience when we were younger, and from that moment on, he had this way of moving in the world that was a little less serious. You know, so so there's a quote. There's an idea, well, from Jesus actually, and he says, you know, to be like little children. He says that he took a child in the middle of the community. He said, you know, look at this child. This child is your teacher, and if you can move like this child and study the, you know, amazing traits of this child, you will experience the kingdom of heaven. And as an adult mind, we think, oh, the kingdom of heaven, I'm going to die. Like that sometimes brings up the idea of death. But actually, the kingdom of heaven exists here on earth, and it means life. It means joy. It means freedom. So imagine that as Pam was saying, that our children are our teachers. You know, that her grandson got that award for being kind. And it's like, oh, okay. Immediately we get the message. How can I be more kind to myself? How can I practice kindness? It's so simple, and yet it's like sometimes the last thing on our agenda, because it's like, no, I got to get this done and that done and this done and that done. Let me just be kind. In the practice of returning to our innocence, of stripping away all of this adulting that has taken a crusty shell over our uninhibited self. You know, it's like conformed our little children, and we have to get back to stripping that away so we can unleash this unapologetic joy, this great power that children have in expressing unapologetic joy. And we think to ourselves, like, well, children, they don't have to get anything done. You know, they just sit all day playing video games. They're very lackadaisical. And yes, that's true, but our children also teach us other things. Their children teach us about being happy for no reason whatsoever. Will and I were driving down to St. Louis, and we had 2 kids in the back of the car, and it was like a giggle fest. Like, I was like, what are you guys doing back there? As soon as one stopped, the other one started, and they were like, really, like, they couldn't stop themselves from laughing. And it was like, oh my gosh, like, it's nice to remember how easy happiness can come. And the children teach us unapologetic joy. They teach us always to be curious. They come with an open mind. Like, what is this for? What is this? What is this? You know, we have little kids who are like, but why? But why? But why? But why? And it drives us crazy. But like, it's really great to question, but why? You know, sometimes we go through life with these unquestioned assumptions, and we begin conforming to ideas and agreements that don't really suit us or serve us. So children teach us about our curiosity and the holy nature of our curiosity. And children teach us, and I was sharing this morning on the call, is the tireless fight for something they want, you know? Like, they do not give up, you know? They will continue to fight for it and fight for it and fight for it until they wear you down. And you're like, fine, stay up. But there's some passion in that. Like, where is that childlike conviction within us that's like, no, I really do feel like this is the right thing to do, and I will stand in this fire and I will fight for it. You know, that's a beautiful thing to get a lesson from children. Children teach us to dance spontaneously, to sing without, to dance without an agenda, to dance without calculation. You know, like we become as adults so calculated. Like, what will this do for me? What will I get out of this? And children are very uncalculated in their love. You know, they just love with abandon. Children are fearless, and they're also so invested in the idea of their own invincibility. Oh, they go through life feeling like, you know, sliding down banisters and, you know, getting in shopping carts and going downhill and, you know, pretty much being like, hey, no hands! When's the last time we were like, look, no hands! You know what I mean? But no, instead as adults we're like, come on, you're gonna do this thing. Come on. But, you know, we're such in control, you know, God forbid we even take one hand off the steering wheel, you know what I mean? Like, we know where we're supposed to go and we gotta get there. You know, so what if we like, what if we allowed ourselves to be like, woo, unbuckle the seatbelt, let's see where the road's taking us instead of us trying to cause this to happen. Maybe we don't know our own good. The funny thing about this kind of joy is that it's actually natural. Sometimes when I'm doing a workshop, I ask people to practice the presence, which we've done here. And you just like be still and you just look at each other. And I usually say to people, like, don't look at the floor, like look at each other in the eye, study how the light's hitting each other, like be here in this moment. And there's this woman who was at my workshop before, and she comes with her husband, and I knew it was gonna happen. So I just watched her, because she just starts to look at people and she just goes, she starts to laugh, and then she can't stop herself from laughing, and she thinks she has to stop herself, so she puts her hands over her mouth. And then everyone's looking at her like, what is she doing? And her husband knows, because so he starts laughing, and then she's trying to hold it back, and then it's like watching this volcano of laughter just spill out onto the table, and everyone around her is like, what is she doing? Is this okay? Is this okay? And they want to know why. And I can see in their eyes, they're asking like, what's so funny? And then she tries to get it out, and her husband just like is banging the table. She does it every time. I don't know why. I don't know why. And soon enough, the whole room explodes in spontaneous laughter, and nobody knows why. Nobody knows why. And it's like, do we need to know why? I know, it's so funny. And it's so funny to kind of watch that. And it's so beautiful. So, and she's like, we just laughed, we don't know why. And I think that's beautiful, because we really don't need a permission slip to laugh, you know? The Course in Miracles says that into eternity we're always well, there crept a teeny mad idea at which the Son of God remembered not to laugh. And we start taking things seriously. We're like, no, you don't understand, this is serious. No, this one is serious, like this one is serious. So what I'd say about that is, if you find yourself taking something seriously, like just breathe into it and say, like, is this really worthy of all of my peace of mind? And then I would also invite you, if you see somebody who's taken something seriously, like to be like what my dad did. Like just help them cross the street and just say gently, take it easy. Take it easy, it's okay. I know this feels really serious to you, but let's just take some breath around it. If we could just move some breath around this thing, that it's going to start to reveal itself as not that worthy of your peace of mind. Because nothing is worthy of your peace of mind except for God. That's it. And so when we get through these places where we think we're being crucified, we can kind of go gently through them and really question. Get curious around them instead of taking them seriously. And learn how to laugh a little bit more, lighten up a little bit more, because here's some benefits of laughing and lightening up. Laughter, it turns out, is the true original language, that humans began to laugh before they spoke. Isn't that interesting? That we were laughing before we spoke languages? I read that on Google, so it must be true. Sounds good, anyhow. That couples who laugh together stay together, and so that's interesting. Laughter burns calories. Actually, 15 minutes of laughter could cause you to burn 40 calories. If you're interested in that, there's actually people who practice laughing yoga, which is so much fun. If you've never done that, it's a lot of fun. Laughter is, like I was saying, it's natural. Like our brains are designed so that when we see somebody laughing, we like our muscles in our bodies start to get into a ready awareness of something funny is going to happen. Like, what's so fun? Like, what's so funny? Like, I want to. And our son Liam, who's on the spectrum, really demonstrated this for us, because we would sometimes just be laughing over whatever we were laughing, and he would come in the room and be like, hey, what are you laughing about? I want to get in on this. I want to get in on this laughter. And I was like, that's so funny. He was just ready. I want to laugh. I want to laugh. He's one of the happiest people I know. And so the studies of laughter show that it improves your memory, it improves your creativity, it improves your blood flow and function in your circulation, it improves your immunity, and it helps regulate your blood sugars, and it improves sleep. So there's so many benefits to laughter. And speaking of Liam, a few years ago he got hit by a car. And my daughter Billy was watching. She happened to be driving while he was crossing the street, and she was sitting at the stop sign with her friend, and she waved to him. He said, "Hi, Billy," and he waved, and he crossed the street, and a car came over the train station and hit him, and he rolled over he cracked open the windshield and flew up in the air, and then he landed on the road. And it was winter, so he had lots of clothes on, but he was like laying there, and Billy was in shock. Like, imagine seeing your brother get hit by a car. And she called us, and she was like, "Mom, Liam got hit by a car." Meanwhile, Will and I had attempted to escape for the weekend, and we had never gone away for the weekend. It was like 10 years of never going away. We're like, we're going to do it. We immediately get up there, and it's like, "Liam got hit by a car." I'm like, "Yeah, we did it." And I literally thought, like, can I stay? Horrible. That's what I thought. I was like, no, I should probably go. So she said that she walked over to him, and that this time the EMTs had gotten there, and he looked up at her and he said, "Billy, I just got hit by a car." Like, that's what he said. He was like joyful. He was like, "I got up, I survived, I just got hit by a car and I'm not dead." So many times we go into these things like, "I'm getting divorced, I have cancer, I got hit by a car, I broke my nail." No, anything set us off. As opposed to the choice is always like, "I'm getting divorced. I got cancer, my nail broke, and I got hit by a car. And look at me, I'm still standing. What the hell? I must have 9 lives. God must have some plans for me." It's like we've taken these things so seriously, and then we conform to the script that the world gives us. It's like, when someone dies, you should be sad. When somebody gets hit by a car, you should be in fear. And Liam was showing us another script. Because children are not encumbered with these adult definitions. They haven't conformed to the agreement of conformity. They take it from a natural place of truth. Is this really the truth for me? What is the truth for me? I can speak my truth unapologetically. Think about that. We've taught kids to apologize. And they're like, "I don't want to apologize. I'm unapologetic, man." We're like, "No, say you're sorry. Say you're sorry. Say you're sorry." I'm like, "I don't feel like I'm sorry." "Oh, I'm sorry. I'll say the word, but I will not mean it because I am unapologetic." And it's like, wow, interesting, right? Like, what if we reworked that conversation? What if instead of forcing our kids to say, "I'm sorry," we came up with actually a truth of where they could be involved in the creative nature of understanding their impact on the world? Because saying, "I'm sorry," is not working. They're not learning anything except for that we're supposed to tell each other lies to make each other feel better, even though it's not our truth. Right? So, just an idea of curiosity. Like, what could we say there instead? It might be better if we got curious and said, "Do you see your impact on the world? Do you see how powerful you are? You've made somebody cry. Like, that's really powerful. Is that where you want to plug your power in? Like, look at your impact. You've made somebody feel less than. Is that really who you want to be? Just curious." What if we led them to their own truth as opposed to forcing our truth on them, which actually is not the truth? They're not sorry. They're learning. Just like we're learning. Like, "Oh, I'm learning." There was a woman at the retreat, and she was like, "This woman calls me, my partner, she calls me and texts me at 11 o'clock at night. She's really disrespecting my boundaries." And I was like, "Great. Does she know that? Like, have you told her what your boundaries are?" She's like, "No." I'm like, "Well, you found them. Now you've found your boundaries. She's helped you to find your boundaries. Now you get to call her and say, you know what, my boundaries, it turns out, thank you for helping me find my boundaries. I don't want to get any texts after 6 o'clock. You know, then we get to have an honest conversation as opposed to waiting around for somebody to apologize for something that they're not sorry for. They don't even know half the time. So I thought that was kind of interesting concept to work with. Because we do take things very seriously. When we're called to come clean and show up holy, we're invited to laugh and not take it too seriously. Because, you know, most of the time, most of the things we've taken seriously are such small potatoes. Like, it's such small potatoes. Like, you're going to let that get in the way of your most audacious creativity? In fact, sometimes things will just roll in your path to say, like, you're going to stop now? And sometimes you're like, yeah, I'm going to stop over that. I'm going to stop over that little thing. I'm going to withhold my love right now because of that little freckle, that little pimple on the face of this experience, because that's worthy of me not moving forward. As opposed to saying, no, I am not going to stop because of that. I'm not going to stop loving because of there's a wrinkle in the road or a pimple on the face. No, that is not going to prevent me. I've got big things to do. I've got really big things to do. You have big things to do. So it's small potatoes, all of it. It's a storm in a teacup. And you are able to drink that down. And I won't tell you what else you can do with it, but but it's no big thing, you know? It's there to tell you how strong you are. It's here to help you navigate where you thought that this problem was so big and you were an ant. Actually, this problem is so small and you're a giant that's going to just step over it without even acknowledging it. What would happen if we decided to navigate the world that way? Would it be okay if I gave you permission to do that today? To just recognize how immensely powerful you are and how interestingly, we begin to seep our power into all kinds of creativities that we actually don't want to show up in our life. So we've taken these things seriously. And these things that we've taken seriously, they become a source of pain. And we feel like, oh my God, I got tossed under the bus. You know, I got tossed under the bus. The thing is that sometimes we'll feel like we got tossed under the bus, but it's our job to dodge the buses. You know what I mean? To be like a kid, like, look at me, I'm getting through it anyhow, no hands. Because the world is crowded with buses that are going to seek to try and run you down that aren't even thinking about you. You know, just to go on with the sermon of Liam, Liam is on the spectrum and he doesn't really think about holding the doors open for anybody. So I could be right next to him and he'll just be like, Liam! And it's like, why can't you just do that? He doesn't know, he just doesn't think about it. It's not in his, it's just not how he navigates. I don't have to blame him for that. I can help him, you know, navigate. Like maybe you could think about like a little bit further outside your hula hoop on what's going on. But in the meantime, he's also my teacher and gives me so many other things. So, you know, we get to take the good with the bad. And then when we take the good with the bad, we get to recognize there's so much more good in each of us. You know, yeah, we each have wrinkles and worries and pimples. And it's like, so what? Like that doesn't prevent me from seeing your audacious nature. You're each so awesome. Everyone in your life is so awesome, brought to you to recognize Christ in them. You know, not to recognize their warts and riddles. We're going to get hung up on their warts and riddles, but is that really what we want to do when we have Christ standing in front of us? Really? I mean, that could be a holy game changer. So, Buddha says about laughter, that laughter is the expression of enlightenment. I totally agree with that. Every time you hit a place of laughter, you experience enlightenment. And it's almost as if laughter is just is out there just waiting for you to engage in it. Don't forget to laugh. Don't forget to laugh. Lighten up, lighten up. Buddha says that laughter is a state of release, of inner tension. So if we're holding off laughter, it's almost like we have had this addiction to inner tension and disharmony. And so we could say, like, am I ready to let go of my own inner tension and disharmony? And can I look at that and say, like, I'm really worthy of more than this. I want to care for myself. Buddha says he doesn't laugh at himself. He doesn't laugh at others. He doesn't laugh because he's acquired something. He doesn't laugh because others have something. The laughter is neither critical, sarcastic, bitter, or defiant. His laughter is because he's in love. Isn't that nice? But the truth is, we're all in love. We live in love. We are of love. We're for love. Like, we are all in love right now. So once we get the joke, the better use of being tossed under the bus is to seeing what the lesson is. Prior to shedding light of humor, we may hold these experiences too precious, too close to our vest, too close to our vest in order for the Holy Spirit to give us a reinterpretation, you know? So like when my jewelry got stolen in California, I was holding it close to my vest for a couple of hours. I was like, I have been wronged. Somebody out there has done something wrong to me. And slowly I had to like let it go and say, could you please reinterpret this for me? What does this mean? And the Holy Spirit said, well, I'm just showing you that those trinkets and treasures aren't the real thing. Like your husband loves you. You don't need a damn ring to tell you your husband loves you. And if you need a ring to tell you your husband loves you, you're not paying attention. You have within you this internal teacher that will give you a true and good interpretation. You have it within you. So take all of your warts and riddles to the Holy Spirit and say, you know, why do I get ruffled over this? You know, why when crossing the street do I see more obstacles and smooth path? Now, even when I hear the Holy Spirit saying, take it easy, why am I defiantly making my life hard for myself? It's only you. You're the only one here. So you could walk yourself across the street and say, baby, take it easy. Small potatoes, we got big places to go. We're just crossing the street right now. This is actually really simple. And you know exactly the choreography for it. It's from here to there. And how you go is in love. That's all you have to do. And you're designed to go in love. You're designed for this. Not fear, not resentment, not resistance, not control, but actually with your hands up saying, look, I do this with no hands. The ones who push you into the dirt are not your crucifiers. They're your gardeners. They're pushing you into the dirt so you can recognize that there's greatness within you that is being hugged by the fertilization of love, and so that you get to move up from that. You know, there's that Mexican quote that says, you know, they pushed us into the dirt, they didn't know we were seeds. When we think somebody's pushing us into the dirt, we give thanks to them. Thank you for being my gardener. You're showing me where my ability to take it seriously is. And now I get to see that I get to go within and do some inner work so that I can really grow past this, because I will not allow this to prevent me from being all that I'm here to be. And that little seed, if it's a sunflower seed, which to go with light, it follows the light, it comes up like this. If you watch the slow motion video of a sunflower seed coming up, it comes up like this. This means it comes up in prayer. It's literally showing us how to come up in the morning, every day with God. Like, put God first. And then when it comes up, it follows just the light. It delights. It's in light. It takes things lightly. And then it becomes a symbolic extension of the sun that nurtures everything, that is the light of all things. And so there's this reciprocal nature when you move in light. You get to be audacious. And that sunflower seed within it carries a billion other seeds. So it speaks to the limitless nature of your love. That's the thing that we get worried about, is that there's not enough. But the sunflower says there's more than enough. Sunflower also does some interesting other things. It detoxes the areas that it's planted in. Isn't that amazing? They plant sunflowers around places that have toxifications, and the sunflowers are able to detoxificate those areas. So we could say that my part is easy. Let me take it easy. Let me go the easy way. Let me be easy on myself and on my brothers. Let me rise to a greater idea of myself. Create that greater good, that goodness and that beauty in the world that only I know how to bring into this corner. Let my corner of the world not be fallow and just mud. Let me recognize that I can fill that with goodness and beauty and holy and laughter, and I'm responsible for that corner. So that when anyone comes under my nose, all they get from me is love. All they get from me is light. You're capable of that. You're capable of that type of beauty. You're capable of that type of power. And you can actually do it. By saying, look, no hands! The end.